Indian Navy.
Chiefs of navies from across the world, former chiefs of navies of the Indian Navy, Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief, East Naval Command, Commanders-in-Chief, heads of delegations, commanding officers of ships, flag officers, our esteemed members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure and a privilege to welcome our distinguished members of the media for this press conference for the International Fleet Review 2016. At the very outset, I must welcome the chiefs and heads of delegations from navies across the world who have come together at Visakhapatnam to strengthen bridges of friendship. And one look out of the window at the blue waters of the Bay of Bengal, with all the ships lined up at the review anchorage, is a pointer to indicate that we may be separated by geography, but we are certainly united by the oceans. As you're all aware, Fleet Review is an old naval and a maritime tradition. In India, this is our 11th Fleet Review, the first one having been conducted in 1953, soon after independence. A Fleet Review is conducted in India once during the tenure of the President. The last International Fleet Review was conducted off Mumbai in 2001, during which 29 navies of the world participated. We are delighted to welcome navies from about 50 countries. A total of about 100 ships will participate in the review, 71 of the Indian Navy, 24 of navies across the world, ships of the Coast Guard, the Merchant Marine, the survey ships, and our submarines. A series of activities have been planned as part of the International Fleet Review. Yesterday, we inaugurated the Maritime exhibition by the Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Shri Chandrababu Naidu. The aim of the Maritime exhibition was to showcase the steps and the efforts taken by the Indian Navy towards indigenization, innovation, and to display the skills of the youth of our country. The blueprint of the future Indian Navy is firmly anchored on self-reliance and indigenization. Currently, we have 46 ships and submarines under construction, all of them in Indian shipyards, both public and private. A lot of effort has been taken by us to indigenize in the float, the move, as well as the fight component. We have outlined a science and technology roadmap in coordination with the Defense Research and Development Organization. We have articulated an indigenization plan for the next 15 years and shared it with the industry. It is our endeavor to progressively increase the indigenous content so that future warships and submarines can be 100% made in India. A visit to the Maritime exhibition will give you some insights on the efforts taken in by the Indian Navy, indeed by our industry, some technical institutions, We've also tried to display the efforts taken by the Navy towards our green initiatives, towards a clean and a green Navy. We're looking at alternate aspects on biofuels, something that we need to learn from some of the advanced navies, the United States of America, which is far, far ahead in this field. In our own humble way, tomorrow at the Fleet Review, you will see some of our FICs, the Fast Interceptor Craft, operating on green fuel. This is our first effort in that regard. We are also making efforts to use alternate forms of energy. The Navy has taken on a pilot project on ocean thermal energy conversion. And to use this, we will have a pilot project which is underway in our Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The next major event, of course, will be tomorrow, when we will have the Honorable President of India embark on what is traditionally called the Presidential Yacht, which is one of our offshore patrol vessels, and we will take all of you out to sea, where the Honorable President will take the salute as he goes past the columns which are lined up at the review anchorage. I had the opportunity to go to sea yesterday, and all your ships are looking very, very smart indeed. And we look forward to the opportunity to showcase some aspects of our maritime capabilities, because we will have the participation of our aircraft. There will be a fly past. We will have some helibatics. We will also have out at sea a parade of sails. All our yachtsmen, as many as we managed to muster, in nearly 50 boats will be out at sea, because the Navy has taken great strides to promote yachting and sailing in this country, since I also head as the President of the Yachting Association of India. A lot of effort has been made to improve and enhance the grassroots level yachting, and you will see some of that as part of our parade of sails. Two of our sail training ships, Sudarshani and Tarangani, will also be there, manned by the cadets. Tarangani, as you know, has recently returned after visiting 17 ports and 13 countries in various parts of Europe, where she took part in various tour races. And this was an ideal opportunity for our cadets to get their sea legs as they encountered some of the worst weathers in various seas that they operated in. We will also have INS Madhai, our sailing vessel, and this tomorrow, as you will see, will be manned by our women officers, whom are training to be the first Indian women crew to circumnavigate the earth. Madhai is currently under the skipper of Commander Dhonde, who has already done this feat some years ago, and now the women officers are being trained to carry out this great act in a few years from now. We will also have our Marine commandos who will be out at sea. We will have the mobile columns of ships as well as submarines. As I mentioned, we will have our Green Force, as we call them, the FICs, which are now operating on some percentage of biofuels. We will also have the other activities which are related to the seminar on partnerships for a secure maritime future. As you all know, the seas around us are gaining newfound importance as each day goes by because of their linkages with the blue economy. And I have no doubt that the current century is the century of the seas. Global maritime partnerships and networking among navies are therefore emerging as the new order in the 21st century. And therefore, the safety, stability, and security of the global commons is the shared responsibility of the coastal states, and this responsibility falls on the shoulders of men in white uniform, because the navies and the coast guards need to keep the seas safe and secure, and this can best be achieved through a cooperative and a collaborative approach. And this will be the theme of our seminar, which will be inaugurated by the Honorable Defence Minister, Shri Manohar Parrikar, who will be present here as well. We will have the other activities related to the operational demonstration, which will be there on the 7th, where Ramakrishna Beach, which you can all see, will come alive, and the Navy will demonstrate various aspects of its operational capabilities, where the Honorable Prime Minister and the other dignitaries will be the chief guests for the occasion. India is a maritime nation with a natural outflow towards the seas, and the Indian seaboard has been the vortex of intense maritime activity over centuries. The Indian Navy has tried to put India's glorious maritime heritage spanning over 5,000 years into a book that we have titled India's Maritime Heritage. This book will cover various aspects of our seafaring traditions, the culture, aspects of our shipbuilding, aspects of our ports and harbors, and taking us down to India as a resurgent maritime nation that it is today. This book on India's maritime heritage will be released by the Honorable Prime Minister of India during the city parade. This book is being brought out both in English as well as Hindi, and it will also have an e-version where a free download of the book will be available to all. The aim is to project and make our great country aware of our rich maritime heritage which spans over centuries. We will have the International City Parade, where we look forward to the participation of all our guests, and we will have contingents from navies across the world. This again would be a feature to see the rich cultures and traditions from different parts of the world being displayed on the beach road at Ramakrishna Beach, where the Honorable Prime Minister will be the chief guest, and of course followed by an air display and aspects related to fireworks and illumination. We will have an aspect where we will have the closing ceremony, which has been planned on the 8th of February, where we will also have an international band concert. And again, the navies and the sailors and officers will all be together to display the aspect related to strengthening of bridges of friendship. As we sail out, or as ships of Navy sail out, we will have the opportunity for passage exercises, where the crews of various ships will have the opportunity to display their professional skills, and this would increase our aspects of mutual cooperation and interoperability. Visakhapatnam is truly the city of destiny. I say this because 15 months ago, this city was hit by a super cyclone, Hudud. When I visited the command, it appeared like a devastation zone. Everything was virtually destroyed. The Navy base alone, we lost 50,000 trees. And we looked at various aspects, but then, as I said, the word impossible does not exist in the dictionary of the personnel of the Eastern Naval Command, which rose to the occasion. The entire naval community stood up and restored the Eastern Naval Command to its pristine glory. Here I must also thank the Honorable Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and the people of Visakhapatnam, who have shown some great spirit in making Visakhapatnam one of the most beautiful locations for the International Fleet Review. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome all of you for the International Fleet Review, and we look forward to greater interactions in the series of activities that are planned in the days ahead. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen, we will have a quick interaction session, and you have to introduce yourself, this is for the media, your name, media organization. Restrict your questions to one only. Mr. Bana. Can't hear.
Louder.
It's on. Okay. Yeah, thanks very much, Admiral.
Just keep it away, sir.
Yes, yes. Fine. I just wanted to ask you whether you can give us a sense of the preparations which went into holding an event of this sort. Who decides on the venue? Who decides on the timing of this? And my second question is, what is the progress on the P-75I?
Okay,
Sorry.
a very good question as to what are the preparations that go along it to organize an event of this scale. I've been asked this question many times, is how do you propose to handle this huge mega event? How can it be made possible? I said that the only way it can be made possible is when the entire naval community, officers, sailors, civilians, families, both serving and retired, play host to this event. And that is exactly why we are where we are, because every single individual in the Navy has worked together, pulled on the oars together, and got us where we are, especially, as I said, 15 months ago when we were in a dire straits after Hudud. I must also commend the command, the Commander-in-Chief, his entire team. We had a team working at Naval Headquarters under the Flag Officer Fleet Review, and I think the best part was that everyone worked in synergy. We must also thank the Government of India, the Defense Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable President, who gave their wholehearted support, because what I took forward to them was only a proposal. And I think I got the full support from them for the conduct of the review at the scale it is. We got all the necessary approvals, and I think it's been a collective effort. What goes on into conducting an event of this size is huge, huge activity, because it is attention to detail, both micro and macro. But as I said, the way we've achieved it is by collective and a cooperative effort with the people of Visakhapatnam, with the local administration, with the state administration, with the entire government machinery. Large number of ministries are involved, whether it's Ministry of Civil Aviation, Ministry of Shipping. We got a great cooperation from the Visakhapatnam Port Trust. We had aspects related to our cultural ministry, the Ministry of Post and Telegraphs. So there are many, many agencies. But I think the reason, and we're looking forward, we've done all the preparations, let's see how it goes. But it's all been possible because of the collective effort of all. You asked about the 75 India. Well, as you're aware, this is at an advanced stage where the decision is with the government, all the preparatory actions with regard of construction of 6 additional submarines in India. That is what 75 India is going to be. But the aspects of the final decision is with the government, and we look forward to some decision on that very shortly.
Pranay.
Admiral Dhawan, this is Pranay Upadhyay from IBN 7. My question is regarding at the time when international waters are simmering with the tensions in South China Sea, in Persian Gulf and other areas, what message this event hosted by India gives to the international community, and is it the direct message that in the global commons it is the collective responsibility to hold the maritime security and reduce the tensions?
Well, I would like to say that the security, stability, and safety in the global commons is the collective responsibility of coastal states and indeed the navies of the world. No single navy is robust enough to carry out or provide safety and security of the global commons on its own. Therefore, the maritime medium lends itself to cooperation. And this is where it is the responsibilities of the men in white uniform, the navies and the Coast Guard, to come up with cooperative mechanisms so that we can provide that safety, security, and stability. That is why there is a focus on aspects of networking between the navies. That is why global maritime partnerships are emerging as the new order in the current century. And that indeed is the theme of the International Fleet Review, that we are united by the oceans. United by the oceans to make sure that we make the global commons safe and secure. The presence of nearly 50 countries here for this fleet review is a pointer and indicator towards that the navies cooperate with each other. The maritime medium lends itself for cooperation, and I think that's the message which every country or every navy will carry back. We are delighted, we are very proud, and we are indeed humbled and grateful to all the chiefs, all the heads of delegations who are here representing their respective countries, and will provide the avenues for cooperation and enhancing the cooperation between our navies and indeed our great countries.
Vishnu.
Admiral Vishnu Shom from New Delhi Television. Sir, you've got so many ships out and it's looking absolutely fantastic, ships from across the world. How difficult a challenge has it been for you to organize safety and security for this fleet, particularly since threats are sometimes unconventional threats, so many ships in close proximity?
You're absolutely right. The challenges in the maritime domain are as wide and varied as they come. Who imagined that in the 21st century we would be grappling with pirates? But I think the navies of the world united against that threat as well, and we managed to get piracy under control. The other major threats which loom large are the aspects of asymmetric warfare and maritime terrorism. The seas are certainly not a benign medium anymore, and any innocuous fishing boat can be a source of threat. So to organize and ensure the safety and security of our ships, our submarines, the ships of the Coast Guard, the Merchant Marine, and indeed the ships of our friends of navies from across the world, this has been a huge challenge. We have surveillance which is carried out from the air, and indeed, as must have been noticed by our friends, all our maritime aircraft have welcomed our ships, the ships from other countries, as they entered into the region through various choke points in the Indian Ocean region. So we've had to have various tiers of security arrangement, both in the harbor, outside the harbor, deployment of our ships, deployment of our other assets, and indeed to have a network of security and different tiers build up to see that the event goes off smoothly and without a hitch. As we speak, all those various firewalls, all those various security tiers are in place, and we look forward to having an incident-free fleet review.
Manjeet Negi.
एडमिरल साहब, मेरा सवाल ये है कि समंदर के रास्ते जो आतंक का खतरा है और ख़ास तौर से वॉर जोन में जो लोग फंसे रहते हैं, पिछले साल जिस तरह का यमन का हमारा अनुभव रहा है, तमाम देशों के नौसेना के लोग मौजूद होंगे। आपको लगता है कि इस मुद्दे पर भी बातचीत होगी, कैसे जो आतंक का बढ़ता खतरा है समंदर के रास्ते, ISIS की हम बात करें, यमन का एक्सपीरियंस हमारे सामने रहा है, इस मुद्दे को लेकर एक राय बनेगी, किस तरह से निपटा जाए?
आपने सही बताया कि हमारे जो समुद्री हित हैं, हमारे जो मैरिटाइम इंटरेस्ट हैं, उन्हें खतरा है, और आज के दौर में ये खतरा समुद्र पे बहुत बढ़ गया है। चाहे वो आतंकवाद हो, चाहे वो मैरिटाइम टेररिज्म हो, चाहे वो एसिमेट्रिक थ्रेट हो, चाहे वो पायरेसी हो, ये थ्रेट्स हैं मैरिटाइम डोमेन में, और जिसको सभी जो नौसेनाएं हैं, जभी जो लिटरल नेशंस हैं, वो मिलके इस मुद्दे पे बातचीत करते हैं। जैसे कि आप जानते हैं, एक फोरम है इंडियन ओशन नेवल सिंपोजियम, जिसे कि भारतीय नौसेना ने शुरू किया था 2008 में। आज आयॉन्स के तकरीबन 23 मेंबर्स हैं, 4 ऑब्जर्वर मेंबर्स हैं, और हमने हाल ही में एक सेमिनार और कॉन्फ्रेंस था बांग्लादेश में, जहां पे आयॉन्स का कॉन्क्लेव ऑफ चीफ्स हुआ था, और इस मुद्दे पे कि रीजन को कैसे सिक्योर और सेफ रखा जाए, जितने भी खतरे हैं हमारी समुद्री सरहदों पे। जैसे मैंने पहले बताया कि इंटरनेशनल फ्लीट रिव्यू के दौरान भी हम एक सेमिनार रखने जा रहे हैं, और इस सेमिनार का जो थीम है वो है पार्टनरशिप्स फॉर अ सिक्योर मैरिटाइम फ्यूचर। इसका मतलब है कि जो भी खतरे हैं, जो भी जैसे मैरिटाइम टेररिज्म से बाकी सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट्स हैं, उन पे बातचीत होगी। बाहर से भी हमारे स्पीकर्स आ रहे हैं, जितने पार्टिसिपेटिंग नेवीज़ हैं उनके डेलीगेशंस पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे, हमारे अपने नौसेना, कोस्ट गार्ड सब पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे। तो इस मुद्दे पे ज़रूर डिस्कशंस होंगे कि कैसे हम अपने जो समुद्री सरहदें हैं, जैसे हिंद महासागर में जो भी खतरे हैं समुद्र में, उन खतरों का कैसे सामना किया जाए, और एक कोऑपरेटिव पार्टनरशिप, एक रीजनल फ्रेमवर्क रखा जाए जिस पे हम आगे बातचीत कर सकें।
Mr. Subramaniam, Hindu. Mr. Subramaniam, just get the mic.
Good morning, sir. Continuing on the point that you're talking about in cooperation and setting up a regional frameworks, the brass tacks of the pain points in cooperation, has any steps been taken into finding out the real pain points in this cooperation? Interoperability, we're talking about interoperability here.
Okay, if we talk about aspects related to the cooperation in the maritime domain, particularly in the region, as I mentioned, that we have a forum called the IONS, which was set up or inaugurated by the Indian Navy way back in 2008. Since then we've had a lot of progress made by various navies which have been in the chair, ranging from UAE, South Africa, Australia was the last chair, and Bangladesh is the current chair. In the conclave of chiefs that we recently concluded, certain aspects were put forth. Some of them were actually initiatives which were taken during the chairmanship of Australia, and I have Admiral Tim Barrett here, who was the chairman, and what he put in place as a suggestion was the setting up of joint working groups in 3 very specific areas. The first one was related to anti-piracy. The second one was an information exchange and interoperability. And the third one was humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. In the last IONS conclave, which took place in Bangladesh just a month ago, we took stock of where we were, and I must say that all the 3 working groups have put in a tangible framework which has been suggested to take these issues forward. We've also had a look as if we can enhance the scope of the aspect related to anti-piracy to include other challenges faced in the maritime domain. So these will form a sort of a framework. This will provide the framework for the countries in the Indian Ocean region, for the navies in the Indian Ocean region to cooperate and take the aspect related to the threats that we see in the maritime domain, aspects related to information exchange and interoperability, and indeed aspects related to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief.
Hagesh from the, you.
Myself, Samir.
Good morning, sir. My name is Tanaka from NHK Japanese Television. Since this international fleet review is the first in 15 years, I would like to ask how the Indian Navy's capability has increased in these 15 years.
Well, I can say that the Indian Navy has come a long way in the last 15 years, and today is a multi-dimensional force which is networked and is ready to take on the challenges in the maritime domain in the Indian Ocean region. This has been possible because of the foresight of our planners, the foresight of our chiefs, three of which are seated here in this very auditorium, because the Navy has had a very strong planning process over the years. Our first plans paper was prepared by the Indian Navy in 1948, 1 year after independence. And since then, we have had a long-term perspective plan. In 2006 or thereabouts, we tweaked that plan from a perspective plan to a maritime capability perspective plan, because we wanted to move away from bean counting and get on to aspects related to capabilities that the navies must have to meet the various aspects and threats that we envisage 15 years from now. We also had a look on linking up aspects related to budget allocation, because no plan of finding force levels is good enough unless you know where the money will come from. So we had to work on very, very tight resource constraints and yet come up with a plan. The aim was to make sure that we have capability enhancement in all dimensions. That means in the air, on the surface, and subsurface. In the last few years, another major aspect which we looked at was the aspect related to self-reliance and indigenization. With some foresight, as I said, of our predecessors and our earlier chiefs, we set up a design directorate in the Indian Navy way back in 1964. That was nearly 50 years ago, or more than 50 years ago. We made our first indigenous patrol vessel, INS Ajay, in Garden Reach Shipyard in Kolkata in 1961. And over the years, we have been steadfast in our endeavor towards self-reliance and indigenization. Therefore, a large quantum of what you will see in the fleet review tomorrow are ships which are built in India. And as I mentioned, it is our endeavor to further increase the indigenous content so that future warships and submarines are 100% built in India. This has been a major change. We've acquired our recent aircraft carrier Vikramaditya from Russia. It is operating with the MiG-29K aircraft and has been made fully operational. Our newer ships which have joined in the fleet include the Kolkata class destroyers, which have been built in Mazgan docks in Mumbai. We recently inducted the ships of Project 28, which is our anti-submarine warfare corvettes. And actually, Kadmat is the youngest ship participating in the fleet, having been commissioned just last month. The unique aspects of these ships, these anti-submarine warfare corvettes, is that they are 90% indigenous across the float, move, and the fight segments. So these are some of the changes which have taken place in the Navy. We also inducted our long-range maritime patrol aircraft, the P-8I, which is similar to the P-8 of the United States Navy. And this is an aircraft which has tremendous potential to keep large areas of the Indian Ocean region under surveillance and be a potent anti-submarine warfare aircraft as well. We also have worked towards making the Navy a network Navy, and we have our satellite Rukmani, which has been up in the air for a few years, which has helped us to integrate. So in short, over the last 15 years since the last review, the Navy has enhanced its capability in all the dimensions, and has indeed emerged today as a multi-dimensional network force which is ready to take on the challenges in the Indian Ocean region.
Samir, Bombay.
Samir Karve from Mumbai. I am from Maharashtra Times. The venue, when we decided about for Eastern Coast for this IFR, there must have been many reasons from logistics to many other reasons. But is there one more reason which might indicate that we want to be more active on East Coast, and also we want to show that our more presence in Indian Ocean?
Well, as you're aware, the Bay of Bengal is the largest bay in the world. And we have our littoral neighbors which surround the Bay of Bengal, ranging from Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, which is also on the fringes of the bay. These are our littoral neighbors, and it was our endeavor to see that we hold the International Fleet Review in proximity of our littoral neighbors so that it'll be easier for their ships and some of the navies with smaller ships also to participate. Certainly, we had an aspect related to the fact that Visakhapatnam is the city of destiny. It's in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is a vibrant and a resurgent state, and of course it is the headquarters of our Eastern Naval Command. Also the aspects related to the Look East and the Act East policy of the government, and this was another aspect which worked in favor. And most importantly, you've all seen Visakhapatnam, you've all seen the bay. The waters of the east coast of India and indeed of Visakhapatnam provide us the adequate depths, the anchorage is outstanding, and all these aspects had to be taken into account when we decided on Visakhapatnam as the location, since it is the headquarters of our Eastern Naval Command.
Manu Pabi. After this gentleman, only two questions.
Sir, this is Manu Pabi from Economic Times in New Delhi. Over here. Sir, one of the important aspects related to security of our global commons is freedom of navigation and right to free passage. What kind of partnerships, maritime partnerships, do you see India forming, especially in the East? As you said, we have an Act East policy to ensure this aspect.
The aspect related to making sure that we have peace, security, and stability in the global commons is part of the action that we take when we cooperate with various navies of the world. The Indian Navy has displayed its operational footprint as far east as the Western Pacific, as far west as the Northern Atlantic, in the Gulf countries, of the east coast of Africa, of the islands of the Indian Ocean region, Southwest Indian Ocean region, and as far down under as Australia. And all this is in the last 1 year. This gives us the opportunity to show the flag, interact with other navies of the world. We've also had large number of exercises with various navies of the world, ranging from the United States Navy for exercise Malabar, the French Navy for exercise Varuna. We had the Konkan with the United Kingdom and the Royal Navy. We've had the Simbex with the Singapore Navy, Slenex with the Sri Lankan Navy. We had our bilateral exercises with the Australian Navy. We had the JMSDF, the Japanese Navy, participating as part of the Malabar. We just completed a bilateral exercise with the Omani Navy off Goa. As the Brazilian and the South African ships sail out from Visakhapatnam, they will exercise the exercise Ipsamar, which for the first time will be held off the Indian waters of Goa. Earlier we used to have this exercise off the coast of South Africa. All these are aspects which provide us an opportunity to operate in various seas of the world, operate for exercises, enhance our interactions, enhance our cooperations, and also to see that we further our cooperation in every aspects and to see that the global commons are safe and secure, and with regard to the aspect related to freedom of navigation.
Vinaya Deshpande.
Hello, sir. I'm Vinaya Deshpande from the Sunday Guardian. So 15 years ago, when the first IFR was held in India, you had said 28 countries participated. Today, 15 years later, the number has doubled. What is the change in perception about the Indian Navy in the past 15 years that has led to the number doubling? And what are the factors that have led to this change of perception about Indian Navy? Thank you.
I think the aspect related to the perception is more important, that we have had a lot of change in the perception of India as a maritime nation. We have a maritime tradition and history and heritage which goes back to 3300 BC. The Indus Valley civilization of the west coast of India. We had flourishing trade and links with Mesopotamia, east coast of Africa, and ancient Egypt. Off the east coast of India, we had the seafaring kingdoms of the Kalingas, the Cholas, Pandyas, Cheras, who sailed off to distant lands in Southeast Asia and established trade and cultural links. We've had a glorious shipbuilding tradition, even during the British period. The oldest warship afloat in the world today is HMS Trincomalee, which is in Hartlepool on the east coast of United Kingdom today, and that was built in Bombay docks. Many, many other famous ships have been built in Bombay docks. So we've had a rich heritage and a tradition as a maritime nation. In the last 15, 20 years, there has been an aspect related to a revival of the importance of India as a maritime nation. When that happens, we look at every aspect related to our maritime interests, which is the ports and harbors. We have 12 major ports and over 200 minor and intermediate ports, and large number of private ports which have come up in the last 15, 20 years. Aspects related to our trade, of which 90% is by sea, our island territories of the Andaman Nicobar and Lakshadweep, aspect related to offshore oil, our fishing industries. All these are aspects of our maritime interests which have seen considerable attention by the government and are flourishing and increasing. When all this happens as a maritime nation, then the security umbrella, or the agency that provides the security umbrella, which is the Indian Navy and indeed the Coast Guard, also need to grow. And that is what has happened to the Indian Navy. The Indian Navy, to protect our vast maritime interests, was required to be a multi-dimensional force, and the Navy has taken great steps. The government has provided support, indeed the funds. Our shipyards have risen to the occasion, and as I said, our assets today in terms of our ships and submarines, ranging from aircraft carriers to destroyers, frigates and submarines, are all made in India. These are the changes, I would say, have taken place in the last 15 years since the first International Fleet Review. That today we have a capable Navy, we have a Navy which is multidimensional, a Navy which can look after protection of our vast maritime interests, a Navy which can shape a favorable environment in the Indian Ocean region as part of our maritime interests.
Okay, gentlemen, the last question, Saurabh Joshi. Sorry, Anjali Oja. Sorry.
So, hi, this is Anjali from Indo-Asian News Service. So, my question is that there was a lot of speculation and there were reports that INS Arihant will be here at IFR. I want to ask you whether we will see INS Arihant at IFR. If not, what is the reason?
Well, you will not see Arihant at the IFR. Saurabh Joshi gets a chance, please. Saurabh Joshi.
Can we see Chakra? Okay, that's it, gentlemen. We are running.
Sir,
Absolute
what is the message from Indian Navy to the other countries regarding this IFR and how it benefits to the coastal AP and also East Coast Navy?
Well, to the navies who are present here, I would say a big and a warm welcome. Welcome to India, welcome to Visakhapatnam, welcome to the East Naval Command, and welcome to the International Fleet Review. I think we are honored by your presence. We are honored that you are all here, and we are honored that your ships will be participating in the International Fleet Review. As I mentioned, this event would not have been possible without the presence of our friends from across the oceans, and we are indeed delighted to have them here. This event would not have been possible but for the efforts put in by the Eastern Naval Command and every single person of that command, and indeed the entire naval community. This event would not have been possible without the active support of the city of Visakhapatnam and indeed the state of Andhra Pradesh, and right up to the Honorable Chief Minister himself. So I would like to thank everybody for taking up this point where we are ready to roll out the carpet for the International Fleet Review and let the show begin.
Gentlemen, we finished the press interaction over here. Please do join us for a cup of tea, and the interaction continues.
Thank you very much.